two entertainment stories bothering me right now. In the Heights, I'm reading on Variety, had lackluster box office. And NBC canceled Manifest. Look, I mean, I don't have any money. I cannot go see In the Heights. I cannot subscribe to HBO Max right now. That's a whole big thing that I should probably go into second. Manifest is the only show I've liked in a long time on network television. That's not like The Masked Singer or some kind of reality show. And I don't like most of the reality shows either. Manifest is doing great. It was on NBC. I don't know how many fans it has. I was trying to read that in the article. All the article is saying is that it got canceled and stuff. And that it's, while it was being canceled, I guess they canceled it in the middle of the night. Because I hadn't heard last night. I woke up this morning, I was looking at other stuff. And I just happened to see hashtag Save Manifest. So I don't even know what their ratings were. But in the story it said that it was number one on Netflix. When they put it on Netflix, it became number one on Netflix. I've already complained about how it looks like they're making these decisions for the wrong reasons. I don't know. NBC, what shows does NBC even have anymore? I don't even know. Manifest is the only one I watch. I mean, actual scripted television. This is a good show. It's family friendly and everything else. I guess there was some idea it could get canceled. Because like I said, when they were leading up to the season finale, I couldn't tell if it was the season finale or the series finale at first, the way they were wording it in the commercials. I guess they were hinting that they weren't they were coming up with a decision, but I love that show. That show has a lot more potential to be great. I don't know if somebody else will pick it up, but I don't know what these studios want. I don't know where the future of television is going. Like I said, my mind was going, I thought we were going to be in a totally different world after the pandemic. Now they're trying to go back to normal. So if they're trying to go back to normal, I don't know why they would be canceling a show that great. I mean, it makes me sad. But again, I don't know if I'm going to be there in the future to watch it anyway. So, I mean, for myself personally, if I was a normal person, I would be wanting to see this show continue. If I was a normal person, at this point in time, I would not be going to the movie theater. I have no intention of going back to the movie theater for a long time. But had this been any other time, had this been, a year and a half ago or whatever, if it had this been in, 2019, I would have seen In the Heights probably 3 times or something. Now, this is not that time, though. We are just coming out of the lockdowns, but we have not come out of the pandemic. You have to understand, everything that happened because of the pandemic and the lockdowns affected the poor people the most. Poor people are your moviegoers, okay? So, in these beginning stages, when people have been desperate to go back to the movies and stuff, they will go see the people who, want to go see the blockbusters and stuff. They'll go see the blockbusters. A musical is a big movie, but not a blockbuster. By the way, 11.4 weekend, I don't even think that's lackluster. So, that whole, the article that I'm reading there, it just doesn't make any sense to me, because 11.4 isn't bad in the old days, before streaming services. Maybe they expected more, but I don't know why you would expect more under the current climate. Like I said, poor people were affected most by the lockdowns and the pandemic. We are the ones, I mean, don't take me as an example. Just take all the people who their jobs went away and they have not been able to go back to work, or like the jobs that disappeared. Those are service industry people. Those are the kind of people who are what the film is based on. You know, the people in the movie, if this was real life, probably don't have the extra money to go to the movies right now. The characters in the movie, like if they were real people right now, they probably would not have extra money to go to the theater, subscribe to HBO Max, stuff like that. You know, I'm not saying they don't, but I think under any other circumstances, the movie would do just as well as any other musical. And I don't think musicals do that well, but they should. But they should be held to a different standard, because it's, to this time, it's still a niche. And those are the kind of movies that in the old days they would have said would have had legs if they were good. But like I said, nobody cares past that initial weekend anymore. And that's not fair. Okay? So I think that in the end, it'll probably make more than enough money if it's a good film. It seems to be critically acclaimed. Like I said, to me, it looks like something I would watch many times over. If I had HBO Max right now, I probably would have watched it twice already, at least. You know, I mean, it's not the normal. This back to normal shit is bullshit, because we can't go back to normal. So everything has to be taken under this new situation we're in. And I really want everyone at the top to acknowledge the people on the bottom have been severely impacted in ways you don't understand yet. And those people on the bottom are the ones who are the ones who normally will they are the ones who will normally be your consumers. It's the people on the bottom who don't go to fancy things, who don't have money for, you know, the theater in terms of, you know, performance art, like Broadway shows and things like that. People who don't have money to go and sit in the front rows of basketball games. Okay, so if you're gonna judge movies at this particular time against a standard, because to me, it said 11.4 million. That, to me, in my opinion, thinking about everything we've just been through, is a huge number for the theaters. You know what I mean? This isn't, but it would have been a regular number before. So I feel like there's a, what do I want to call it? Not a bias, not an agenda. There's a spin on this article that doesn't make sense to me, because why would that be lackluster? Why would they have expected more coming out of a pandemic when there's still people, yes, people are getting vaccinated, but the media is now pushing this new variant for people to be afraid of. I think a lot of people are hesitant or do not want to go back to normal, the supposed normal that's never going to be, that they're trying to force people back into. And I don't think you should blame that movie for that. I really don't. And I'm looking at Manifest now and In the Heights and saying to myself, this is the kind of stuff I want to see. These two articles are saying that they're not good enough. You know, Manifest isn't good enough for NBC, and I don't know what these people want. I mean, these people want to make money, I understand that. But you don't just make money in one weekend. You don't just make money on stocks. You don't just make money unless you really believe that that's what's going on. And I fear for the future of the decision-making process. They're going to decide what are we going to produce? What are we going to greenlight? What are we going to put? Because if they're going to start making decisions based on, I mean, like I said, I don't see how that's lackluster. Coming right out of lockdown when the theaters just reopened and people are just starting to get used to going around without masks if they have been vaccinated. I mean, we just opened up. I really don't understand. I really don't understand that way of thinking. So I'm upset that Manifest is canceled. I would hope that it gets picked up again because it deserves it. It's a great show. And you could see how it could really ramp up after this point. The cast is great. You know, it's a good cast together. I mean, I would like to see them all separately and other things eventually, but I like this group. You know, just like with shows like Twin Peaks and stuff like that, you like the group of them. You know, how they work together, or Arrested Development, which, you know, all the Freaks and Geeks, all the great shows that I liked that got canceled, that came back years later. And then I'm sitting here, and another show that I think is great with this amazing cast gets canceled. And I'm just like, nobody ever learns. Nobody ever learns to just support something that's good. I mean, I guess I'm ridiculous for asking for that now at this point in time, with everything I know and everything I talk about with the way things are, and how instead of this pandemic making everything better, it made it worse in terms of the rich people getting more power and more money when they're the ones who shouldn't be leading us at all. But yeah, I'm upset. I don't think, that story about In the Heights seems like a bunch of BS to me. 11.4 sounds good. God knows what it made on HBO. I mean, how many people watched it on HBO Max? I don't know that there being HBO Max, Disney Plus, you know, Paramount, all these things. I mean, people can't subscribe to all of them. So now you're going to make a situation where that's to have all of them costs more than cable. And you can't ask people to do that. So to have your shows depend on, to make this to me, this, we're brewing a disaster of epic proportions by making decisions. If they're going to start making decisions based on subscribers and stuff like that, instead of saying, let's make this quality product, let it sit on our platform indefinitely for all time, and it'll generate money for us until after we're dead. Instead of understanding that that's what you should be doing with streaming, just making quality stuff that people will watch and come back to and tell their friends about for years and years and years. That's what they should be doing. If instead of doing that, they're just going to look at, like I said, stock prices and shareholders and who's making the most money today, cancel this because it's not making enough today. Streaming should be the place for what the fans want, because the fans know, and it's not going to be a subset of people. When things get popular, they pick up word of mouth. I could tell you so many movies I saw that I saw in the theater that were great, that bombed. Princess Bride, Big Lebowski, Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. How many movies have I seen in the theater that bombed? Even the critics maybe didn't like them. And then years later, they're cult classics. Over time, how much money did those movies end up generating? Because they were quality. But in the moment, the dum-dums who make decisions and write the articles couldn't see it. I haven't seen In the Heights. But just from reading the article, I know that article is messed up. 11.4, a couple weeks after places started to open back up again, sounds like a huge number to me for something that isn't like a 3D Godzilla type movie. So I don't like the way that movie's being judged. I think people need to consider that the whole movie industry is going to be different in terms of box office, because like I said, the people on the bottom, even some of the people on the bottom who've had a little bit of extra money, if they had unemployment, stuff like that, a few months down the line, with prices of everything going up, people, all kinds of people who had money, people who didn't have money, people who kept their job, everybody's going to start tightening their purses. People are going to stop doing things like getting haircuts and going to movies less. And this economy, that monstrosity of an economy that was created by the lockdowns, is only going to get worse. And that's why some of us who understood how things, when they start rolling downhill, they start getting faster, didn't want anybody to lock down in the first place. Something has been set in motion, but you cannot judge a film that, to me, that 11.4, I'm looking at it, I'm like, that's great. That's great for the situation. That's great for how many of us, I believe, are not going to be going to the movies for multiple reasons, coming out of, you know, the lockdowns and everything else. I know Manifest is quality. It has little bumps here and there, but it's a great show and it should continue. I did not see In the Heights, but you can tell the work went into it. Okay? And under any other circumstances, I would have seen it by now. But my circumstances say I can't. And there are other people, not with my exact circumstances, but who are not going to the movie theater because of what just happened to us. Please, please, please stop acting like that didn't happen. Okay? And just make quality. Just make quality and put it on your platform and leave it there. And you don't have to advertise anything. Just let it sit there and people will come to it. Word of mouth used to be a thing in the theaters. Movies used to have legs. That stopped a while ago. But you have that possibility with streaming services now. You make a quality product, put it there, and it'll generate subscribers and people for you for years to come. Okay? Quality is the answer. Okay? Somebody pick up Manifest. Please.